the summons to produce issued to you by this honorable committee. In that respect, I would ask that if you do not have a copy,
summons dated is it the 13th of October?
the summons is dated the 24th of June. But if you do not have your copy here, we can furnish you with one to save time. You have lost quite a bit.
I have.
Great. Before I direct you to your statement or your letter of the 17th, I would ask that you look at the summons to produce in its entirety, and read right after the recital. That is the portion that begins with "You are hereby summoned." And if you would do me the pleasure of reading that out.
You hold up.
Well, not to the end, just the 3 lines.
You are hereby summoned to produce copies of all documents, records, correspondence, or any other material in your possession, custody, or control relating to the subject matter of the inquiry, including but not limited to the following.
Give you a suggestive list.
Yes.
Now I would refer you to the letter of your letter of the 17th, to page 4 of 6. The last paragraph, in fact, the last sentence, it continues on to the next page.
Number 7.
Number 5.
Paragraph 5.
Yes.
Headed all official communications.
Counsel to the Commission. However, the bit the committee is interested in is the bit that begins with "I have" included in the above documents. If you just could kindly read that out.
I have included in the above documents all communications relevant to the terms of reference of the Special Select Committee, quote, established to inquire into the sale and disposal of the assets identified by the Commission of Inquiry.
That's fine. That's fine. What my issue is here is that it seems that from your own submission, there are documents that are left behind.
Yes.
Is that the case?
Yes.
Didn't you consider the committee's summons as binding and requesting for all documents?
The committee's summons, my own interpretation of it, did not request for all documents. The paragraph I read to you,
Please enlighten the committee.
on page 1 of the summons,
Yes.
which is dated 24 June 2025, states as follows. You are hereby summoned to produce copies of all documents, reports, correspondence, or any other material in your possession, custody, or control relating to the subject matter of the inquiry. And the first paragraph of the recital indicates that the subject matter of the inquiry is an inquiry into the sale and disposal of the assets identified by the Commission of Inquiry. So my understanding of this is that I'm not to produce all documents that I may have concerning the commission inquiry, which of course spans a lot of as you know, was quite copious. So it's specific as to what documents you expected me to produce.
I would contend that someone, in my view,
is wide, and it seeks to solicit every single document in your possession in relation to the Janneh Commission. You see, paragraph 1 of the recital, the first recital, is not sufficient to be the terms of reference of this committee. Perhaps I could ask the Secretariat to furnish the witness with the motion establishing this committee, which would be our terms of reference. You have a copy? Please furnish the witness with a copy. See, the danger here is that in your statement you've indicated that the documents you've submitted are the relevant documents. Our contention is what and who would determine what the relevant documents are. And the committee's position is that it's only the committee that would determine what is relevant for it upon submission.
In the motion for the establishment of a special select committee to inquire into the sale and disposal of the assets identified by the Commission of Inquiry into the financial activities of public bodies.
You need not read it loud. You can take a moment to go through it if you wish.
What is your question, Madam Counsel?
My question.
I have seen it. What
yes.
is your question?
My question is that you submitted documents which you deemed relevant. And, sorry, my qualm is that you submitted documents that you deemed relevant. And the question is why you believe that you are in a position to set the relevance criteria for the committee.
With respect, Madam Counsel, I was not trying to set the remits of this commission, and it certainly is not within my competence to do so. I was issued with a summons, and the summons was clear. As I understood it, I was commanded to produce copies of all documents, records, correspondence, or any other material in my possession, custody, or control relating to the subject matter of the inquiry. And the first paragraph indicated what the subject matter of the inquiry was. So I searched, and it took me a long time to search through my records, and I identified all documents which I, in my interpretation of the summons to me, is relevant to the subject matter or relates to the subject matter of the inquiry, using the words of the summons. And the summons is quite explicit as to what the inquiry was. The subject matter of the inquiry was into the sale and disposal of the assets identified by the Commission of Inquiry into the Financial Activities, that is the Janneh Commission for short. That is your remit. That is quite clear. So I identified all the documents which I believed you were asking. Now, of course, if you had said in the summons, please produce all documents in your possession, control, relating to the Janneh Commission, I would have brought all the documents I had. But that is not what the summons says.
but I would contend with you.
A bit to avoid the back and forth. I would ask, aside from, so how did you, what criteria did you use to determine what to provide and what not to provide?
Subject matter of your inquiry is quite clear from the face of the summons. I read it again. The summons states, and recital number 1, whereas the Special Select Committee established by the National Assembly of the Republic of the Gambia on the 14th day of May 2025 is conducting an inquiry. And what is the purpose? The subject matter of the inquiry is stated into the sale and disposal of the assets identified by the Commission of Inquiry into the financial activities, etc. So the jurisdiction of this commission, in my understanding, is limited. It's limited to an inquiry into the sale and disposal of the assets identified by the Janneh Commission. That is what you wanted. So it was left to me, to my discretion, according to this summons, to identify all such documents as relate to the subject matter of the inquiry. And that's exactly what I did.
Okay.
Can you confirm what documents you chose to withhold? Is that possible from where you're seated?
Counsel, I did not choose to withhold any documents. I went to great trouble to go through as counsel, in the exercise of my professional duties as counsel of the commission. I made copies of records that were relevant to my work. Now, as counsel, not every document is relevant to my work, but I kept copies of my records, and I had my files as counsel. So I did not proceed from the premise of trying to withhold any document. I proceeded on the basis of what I understood to be seeking, committee to be seeking, which was whatever I had that related to the sale of the assets, which is the subject matter of your inquiry. And I brought those documents. I did not withhold any documents.
Can you confirm to this committee?
You see, with all due respect, Leonard Senior, in your previous response to my question, you had mentioned that it was in your discretion that you looked at what was relevant for the committee, and that's what you provided to the committee. Nonetheless, however we put it, I would use a different word, but you decided to leave out certain documents because you believed it was not relevant for the committee, correct? Correct?
It did not relate to what you wanted.
In your belief?
Well, it was left to me. You did not, Learned Counsel, I'm trying to really, let me just make it clear, I'm not trying to be difficult. I did not come here to try to be difficult, but it's a simple matter. Every committee has a remit. There cannot be any committee at large. The committee has its TOI. And what is the remit of the committee, as I understand it? That you are inquiring into the sale and disposal of the assets identified by the commission. That's what I understood you to be inquiring into. Since you did not provide me with a list of documents, it was being left to me to find what documents related to the subject matter of your inquiry. And that is what I did. So when I use the word discretion, let me finish. Yes. When I use the word discretion,
I would ask that you indulge me to lead the proceedings today. We have lost a lot of time. In fact, the summons is indicative at some point. After that paragraph, There are 9 points to indicate the nature of documents that the committee sought.
Yes.
Yes, Honorable.
Yeah, just Counsel. I would advise that you tell Ms. Bensouda, when she is reading the motion, let her read it in full. For the purpose of clarity. So what realizes she would always stop at the sales and disposals of assets identified by the Janneh Commission of Inquiry. And it goes beyond that.
It indeed does, Honorable.
Please.
Yes,
I would advise that.
I believe we have given Ms.
Thank you.
the witness ample time to look at the motion, but if you need some more time to look at it, Ms. Ben,
I haven't looked at the motion because you gave it to me and you asked questions. I'm not sure what you want me to do with this motion.
Well, I'll read my...
Can I say something? I'm here to assist the commission. I know you might be short of time, but I don't think that is reason enough for me not to be allowed to complete my sentences. Now, you gave me a motion. This motion was not attached to the summons that was served on me. I'm looking at the motion which was given to me. I haven't had a chance to read it. Now, I am here in response to a summons. And I provided for you what I understood the summons to be asking for. Now, if you think I produced documents that you wanted and I did not, or I did not produce documents that you wanted, certainly you can give me another summons. But I did exactly what I thought you wanted. Now,
You done?
yes?
all right, so I would refer you to the pointers. You see,
If you could go to the second page
of the summons, you would see them itemized,
Yes.
though indicative, but even some of those items listed there go beyond the remit of just sale and disposal. Wouldn't you agree?
I don't know, Counsel. You provided a list, and I responded to every one of those items on the list. And that's why I have here 3 bundles of documents. I went through, and you will see in my response, number 1, statement of full account of your tenure as lead counsel to the commission. I provided that from page 2 to page 3. Then item 2, details of your appointment as lead counsel to the commission and all documents in your possession relating to same. I responded to that. 3, terms of reference. I provided it. 4, minutes of all meetings. I provided what I had. So I went through every item in your list, and I responded to every item on your list. And that is why I produced 3 bundles of documents. So I did not sit down to ask myself whether the list is relevant to your remit or not. I was just responding to the summons.
Yes, but my point is, the list gives you an
Indication, and that indication alone, let's look at 9. That indication alone goes beyond the remit of just sales and disposal. It goes on, and also what you read has another component to it. The identification of assets also is involved in that, and that would go to the operations of the Janneh Commission. We did not receive documents to that effect. But like I said, Honorable Chair, I don't wish to belabor on this much. I would make an application that the witness provide all documents relating to the Janneh Commission in her possession to the committee, and I will allow the chair to put the time on that. At this point, perhaps if I could defer to the committee and hand back the baton to you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Counsel. All right. Ms. President, the application made by...
Honorable Chair.
Thank you. The application made by Counsel for you to produce documents on the opposition relating to the Janneh Commission, the committee will grant that application, and we will give you time to be able to produce those documents. I don't wish to direct you, kind of, but if you can tell us when can you produce these documents, so that I know if that can be as soon as possible or within a few days, just to give you some time. I understand your point. What would you say?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To be honest, I'm at a loss, and I'll tell you why. If I'm committed.
Go ahead.
It is my understanding that this select committee was established, special select committee was established and I'm referring to the motion that a copy of which was given to you.
Okay.
States, and I quote from the operative part of the motion, which starts from now, page 2, now therefore, this Honorable Assembly resolves to establish a special select committee, thereafter referred to as the committee, pursuant to section 1092 of the Constitution and Order 95.5 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, to inquire into the sale, and I here underline, to inquire into the sale and disposal of the assets identified by the Commission and forfeited to the state. The rest is as regards how you operate your mandate, but your remit is what is stated in paragraph A. It is not my understanding that this committee is a committee on what is referred to as the Janneh Commission. I'm taking notes of what the chairperson had said. The Janneh Commission is, in other words, and as stated in your summons, the full name of the Janneh Commission is Commission of Inquiry into the Financial Activities of Public Bodies, Enterprises, and Offices as regards their dealings with former President Yahya A.J.J. Jammeh and connected matters. That is its full name, otherwise known as the Janneh Commission. So this is the mandate of the special committee. And Mr. Chairman, it's my understanding.
If I may interject, then if I may direct you to the third paragraph of the motion. It's headed Terms of Reference of the Committee. That is where you find the terms of reference of the committee and the mandate of the committee, yes. It should be in page 3.
You want me to read it?
No, just for your benefit, to look at it before you make a submission to the chair.
The terms of reference of the committee, I have glanced through. In fact, underscore what I have just said. By the Constitution, Mr. Chairman, you cannot have a committee, National Assembly committee, without a remit. a jurisdiction. The remit of this committee is limited to the motion that was passed by the National Assembly. And I'm not trying to be difficult, but I'm here to be a witness to the National Assembly and hopefully to be helpful. Your terms of reference are not at large. It's not a committee on the Janneh Commission and everything the Janneh Commission did. It's a committee about the sale of assets as per the terms of reference. And learned counsel kindly pointed out your terms of reference. And if with your permission, I'll read it. The committee shall be guided by, but not limited to, the following terms. Inquire into the list of assets identified by the Commission, meaning the Janneh Commission, and determine which assets were sold, transferred, or otherwise disposed of. Investigate the legal and administrative processes used in the disposal of the said assets, including the authority under which they were sold. 3. Assess whether all actions taken were in accordance with the laws of the Gambia, particularly laws and policy relating to procurement, anti-corruption, and public finance. 4. Examine the valuation, pricing, and procurement methods used to determine asset value and identify any discrepancies or undervaluation. 5. Investigate whether the valuations and sales were transparent, competitive, and in public interest. 6. Identify and profile purchasers of the assets, including individuals and corporate entities, assessing whether proper procedures were followed, and determine whether any conflicts of interest, abuse of office, or procedural irregularities occur. 7. Evaluate management and accounting of proceeds generated from the assets disposals, and determine whether such funds were properly deposited in public accounts, including the National Treasury and any special accounts. 8. Wherever discrepancies of a criminal or fraudulent nature are discovered during an inquiry, immediately cause a report of these findings to be submitted to the Inspector General of Police for necessary action. 9. Recommend appropriate remedial and preventive measures, including legal or administrative redress, reforms in policy and law, as well as appropriate institutional reform. So at all times, the remit of this committee is about the assets. Now, if I may just say that the Janneh Commission report itself is 9 volumes. 9 volumes. Documents tendered before the Janneh Commission run into thousands. Of these documents, I kept what was relevant to me as counsel, including witness statements, including transcripts of examination, and these run into thousands. So with respect, I don't understand the nature of the application that's being made, and I also don't understand the order. And I would urge the Honorable Chairman to reconsider the order that you were in the process of making, because it's literally impossible for me to go back and produce all documents relating to the Janneh Commission that I have. And if I did, it will not be relevant to what you're trying to do. It will not relate to what you're trying to do. I do understand, certainly, that this is a National Assembly Select Committee, but it is bound by the Constitution.
Yeah.
It is bound by its standing orders.
That's right, Ms. Counsel. Now, before I do the final order, and allow me to ask questions relating to the submission you just made, and of course, relating to the application made by Counsel as well.
So, Chair,
then we will. Counsel allow members to just ask, and then you'll get there.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Ms. Bensouda,
Yes, Honorable.
may I know which documents you might have in your possession, which in your belief are outside the remits of this committee? Can you give us a list?
Thank you. I cannot give you a list of head, but for every subject matter that was investigated by the Janneh Commission, as counsel, I kept copies of some of the documents that were tendered before the Commission. I kept
Copies of some of the witness statements, because I opened files for each subject matter. So as you know, the Janneh Commission investigated different parastatals. and public entities. It identified close associates. And so I kept what a lawyer's lead counsel to the commission would normally keep. So my policy would be to keep it for initially 6 years, that is the limitation period, and beyond that I might keep it for 12 years if it relates to landed property. These are my counsel records. So this is a range of documents that I have.
In that case, now I will rephrase the question. Based on the thematic areas that you've investigated, which documents do you believe are at your disposal, which are outside the remit of this committee? Now, give it to us in thematic areas that you believe that our remit does not cover.
Okay.
Since the documents are voluminous, you might not be able to remember them individually. But now the thematic areas you believe you have documentation to, and based on our TOR, those documents fall outside our remit.
All the proceedings that have nothing to do with assets that were sold pursuant to the orders of the Janneh Commission.
Give us one instance.
All the witness transcripts, all the bank statements of individuals, all the exhibits that were tendered at the commission. These are outside the remits of.
With due respect, the council. If you look at section 112 of the Constitution, just section 112 of the
Can I do a
Constitution.
copy?
Yes, I will give you a copy of section 112.
Where's my constitution?
I will put you right there. One 109, huh? Give it to her. Section 109.
Section 109.
Yes.
She has a copy.
Section 1093 of the Constitution. You can look at section 1093B of the Constitution. This committee has the right and the mandate to request for any documentation. In fact, we are after documentation so that we can substantiate the work we are doing. So, if the belief is that the transcripts you have, the exhibits you have, do not fall within our limit, that depends on the committee to determine, just like the interview you did with the investigation team. At the end of the day, we didn't take the transcript version of it. It was at the discretion of the committee to extract what was relevant. So, as such, Honorable Chair, I strongly believe that Ms. Bensouda has not provided or advanced any documentation or thematic areas that she worked on which are outside the limits of this committee. If you're talking about exhibits, the committee will be interested in the list that you are having. If at all we are talking about transcripts of witnesses, we would agree that they might be voluminous. But at the end of the day, the remits of the committee does not bar us from having access to these transcripts, provided there is valuable information that the committee can use in the execution of our functions. So, I strongly believe that what leads council's application is the defense of the committee. I do appreciate the fact that as submitted by Ms. Bensouda, the documents my volumes. So we can discuss the nature in which we will receive them. And what I would add is we should have a timeline with it. It cannot be open-ended. You know, we are time bound. So I would support it.
Thank you, Honorable. Honorable, sir, before any people.
With regards to the purpose of the commission that was set up One was the TO that was given to you, and the responsibility that you guys to undertake during your process, compared to the TOR you are referring to from the Senate committee. I think if you compare it to be there, I did not the same. I did not have talking about the same issue.
No. No, they are not.
What's the difference?
There's a huge difference. I mean, in terms of reference of the Janneh Commission, our legal notice, their wide scope investigation, your own investigation is limited to how the assets that were identified by the Commission were dealt with. So the Honorable Commissioner has referred me to Section 109, subsection 3 of the Constitution. I'm not entirely sure what he was drawing my attention to. But if subsection 3 says, for the purpose of effectively performing its functions, each of the committees shall have full of the powers, rights, and privileges as are vested in the High Court at a trial in respect of enforcing the attendance of witnesses, compelling the production of documents, and the issue of a commission or request to examine witnesses at all. So I'm not entirely sure of the point you were making. But let me say this.
You said what you have at your possession, and what we are suggesting is the exhibits and the transcripts of the witness statements might fall outside the limits of this committee. Am I right? Then maybe perhaps you can repeat what you said before.
What I said.
Honorable member of the National Assembly, is that what I understood by the summons I was served is what I produced. And what I understood from the summons that you served was that I should produce all documents relating, that's what it said. Relating.
Sorry, allow me. Let me guide it. Your response was for an earlier question I asked you. The first question I asked you was to give us a list of the documents you had at your disposal, which you believe are outside the remit of this committee. And your response was, you have so many documents and you can't remember them offhand. But every thematic area that you worked on, you have documents on. Then I rephrased my question and I asked you, based on the thematic areas that you've worked on, can you tell us the documents at your disposal which you believe are outside the remits of this committee? That was when, in your response, you talked about what? Witness transcripts, exhibits. And in relation to that, that's why I referred you to section 109(3)(b) of the Constitution. Is that correct?
I understand what you're saying.
Thank you.
If you want me to respond again, whatever this committee is doing, in my humble opinion, is subject to the scope of work, which is the remit that it was set by the National Assembly. I was served with a summons to produce documents relating to that remit. I produced the documents. But it seems that the documents I produced, or you want more documents? Sorry, let me just finish. Okay. It seems you want more documents outside of the documents I was asked to produce. And I said, look, I do have documents I kept as counsel. And the documents I did not produce have nothing to do with the subject matter of your investigation. These are documents that I kept and I will keep until the limitation period is over. And these are my case files. They are copies of some. These are my case files. If you want, somebody can come and inspect my case files. But, and if you think you found any documents that you want to copy, you're quite welcome to them. But I really am at a loss as to what this you want me to do.
Yeah, just to final relevance. Ms. Counsel, for all intents and purposes, we are just trying to be fair here. When the initial summons was sent to you, you responded. And based on your understanding of the summons, you provided documentation. That's why when you appeared, what documents did you believe, or do you believe that at your disposal, which are outside the limits of our committee? If you were able to provide us a list of those documents, which are outside the scope of our work, the committee wouldn't go to that. Our operations are guided by the Constitution and our standing orders. We are very right in that. But the bottom line here is, all the documents you are having, the committee is requesting for them to be submitted, cannot be in any way described as working outside the boundaries that were defined by union. So that's why in my conclusion, I told you that I totally align myself with the application of the Council. And again, I didn't want to come in because Council will come to that. But at some point, we'll make a determination whether those are case files or whether they are public documents. We'll have to make a determination. But at this point, Honorable Chair, for me, I will take my point that Ms. Bensouda should produce those documents, and if we shouldn't leave it open-ended, we definitely have to make a timeline to it.
Thank you, Honorable. Counsel, do you want to reply before I
thought the members are still intervening.
Yes, of course, in relation to the summons, Chair, because with my understanding, repeatedly, Ms. Bensouda has been saying she is here to actually assist the committee. However, from the look of things, from the first summon, I am not too sure if really that is what she is doing. For example, the first summon we gave, she wrote back seeking for an extension for her period, which we agreed. And looking at the scenario, or the unfortunate scenario, I think that should have been actually avoided in terms of getting her to sign the statement that was due to technicalities, and I believe we complied with that. Wait until this afternoon, come back and get the ball rolling. But then it seems that it's not what is exactly that is happening, and she seems to be still hiding behind similar technicalities in dragging the work of the committee. So through you, Chair, I definitely want to appeal with Council that we should be able to progress looking at the time, and then also if they can kindly comply with this committee to get us do our work as expected. Because for me, the communications are very explicit in terms of what she was supposed to produce. My dismay here is what tool or guidance was he using to determine what was really relevant for the committee and what was not relevant for the committee in terms of documents that she was supposed to produce. So I'm a bit confused along the line, And I always appreciate if he can tell us what yardstick have he actually used to determine what document is relevant for the work of this committee and what is not really relevant. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable. But, Counsel, do you want to?
Yes, I do. Chair. I'm not sure whether you should give respond to what I'm thinking.
Do you have any reaction to what Honorable Janneh said?
Ms. Benson, your mic.
Honorable Chair, I do have a concern. I'm a witness of this committee. I was summoned to produce documents that I had. I produced the documents that I thought you wanted. I have produced them, and these are at my own expense. I produced these documents, and I not only produced them in one volume, I produced them in 2 volumes, in 3 volumes, and each volume in 2 copies. This is all at my expense. I'm disappointed that I appear before the commission, and the first question I'm asked is, why did I decide to produce some documents and not other documents? My answer is simple. The summons to me, in my own understanding of it, is that I should produce a certain set of documents. It did not say produce all documents in your possession relating to the Janneh Commission. It said I should produce documents relating to what is stated, your remit, which is the disposal of assets identified by the Janneh Commission. This is what I produced. Now, if you want me to produce all documents in my possession relating to the Janneh Commission, you are certainly welcome to make that order. Now, that is within your discretion to do so. But I do take objection to any honorable member that is privileged using language like dragging your feet, and so on. I don't think it is called for, and I don't think it's appropriate. I'm here at your invitation. I responded to the best of my ability according to my understanding. But if you want more than I produced, it's simple. Make an order that I should produce all documents that I have concerning Janneh Commission, and I'll do so, but not at my own expense. I can bring them, and you can make your copies, and I'll take my documents back. I can do that. But as I said, I don't think some of the statements are called for. It's unnecessary. You are privileged, honorable gentlemen. I am a privileged witness, and I do have my rights.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Mansour. Counsel Pilgrim for Ali.
That's fine. It seems like what beforehand submit documents to this committee. However, out of caution, I will just say that Ms. Bensu, that the motion that you read, of course, we understand, and I'm sure you understand, as we do, that it must be read as a whole. And when read as a whole, you would see that under the terms of reference of the committee, it goes on to look at issues of administration. You would look at 6, 7, and 8, sub 6, 7, and 8, and also of the motion that you read. 3, yes, 3, yes.
6, 7, and 8.
Yes. Sub 3, sub 6, 7, and 8. You would see that
3, 6, 7, and 8.
precisely.
Sorry, what about them?
6 goes on to say, to identify and profile purchasers of assets, including individuals and corporate entities, assessing whether proper procedures were followed and determine whether any conflict of interest, abuse of office, or procedural irregularities occurred. Now, there are 2 limbs to 6. One is in relation to the sales, but the second certainly pries into the administration. Perhaps 7 gives more clarity to evaluate the management and accounting of proceeds generated from asset disposals and determine whether such funds are properly deposited into public accounts, including the National Treasury and any special accounts. I would not read 8, but 8 goes on to indicate that where there is any component or a criminal element to the administration of the sales, the committee could probe into it. Aside from that as well, the section of the Constitution that was highlighted, and as you had highlighted earlier on today, the committee has powers of the High Court at trial. Those powers include determining the relevance of documents. And I will not go on to belabor the point. Since the Honorable, I've made my application, Honorable Chair. It's left to you. The witness has.
Chair, I agree.
I produced all the documents that I have concerning the Janneh Commission. For one, that's the term, that's the acronym, if I may call it that way, for the Janneh Commission. That does not mean I am conceding to the procedure that's being adopted. This commission, by the Constitution, has a purpose, and the purpose is set out in the motion. The purpose is not to review the work of the Janneh Commission. The purpose is to look into, investigate the manner in which certain specific matter was dealt with. These are the assets that were identified by the Janneh Commission and disposed of. Learned Counsel has referred me to the motion, and he has specifically referred me to the terms of reference 3, 6, 3.6, 7, and 8. Nothing in those sections support what he is saying. This is not a committee at large. Its powers are limited. I'm a witness, and if you order that I produce documents, I will, because you have a power to do so. But that doesn't mean that the order is right. And I'm saying the order is wrong, because you have to operate within your powers. You do not have a power because you have not been conferred with that power. Limited to your terms of reference in relation to an inquiry into a specific matter. But nevertheless, if you make the order, I'll comply with it. But that doesn't mean I agree with the premise of the order or the submission that the Council is making. Thank you.
Chair, we rely on you to separate us. One thing I do agree with the witness is that we are not a committee at large. Indeed, we have a TOR. But what we have asked for is indeed within our TOR.
Thank you, Counsel. Thank you, Ms. Bensouda. I have listened to both of you. And of course, the application made by Counsel, like I said earlier on, the committee will want to grant the application. Of course, you agree for the committee. So I have put the order that you produce documents for the committee. But also, I want to say this. The committee in its operation, since we started, we have had a lot of witnesses before this committee. And those witnesses also produce documents for the committee. And they have done something in the Janneh in the inquiry, either as commissioners or they are partners in whatever you've done when the commission was in operation. So they've provided documents up to the Office of the President, Office of the Ministers. So we got documents from them. And I think it's only fair for us to also request documents from you. Yes, you have made your point. We have our counsels, and then you will continue. Then we will review. But I know the motion is very much explicit. Of course, in our view, that the motion has direct force to look at documents related to the commission. Specifically, you mentioned about sales and disposal. Yes, we know that is there. But the committee as a group still has the powers to request for documents, like you said, and that's the order that's the order now we are putting to you for you to produce the documents to the committee. So we can say, because we are finishing our hearings very soon. Today is on the 5th, Counsel.
Yes, Honorable.
So we can give until Monday. Is that okay? Monday.
Can you read the other please, so that they are specific and I don't come here and we have a misunderstanding as to what I was trying to
Yes.
Please make the audio take note.
For you to produce all documents relating to the operations of the Janneh Commission. Now, the committee as chair granted application for you to produce those documents. Now, you said you can bring all the documents to us, and then now we will pick what you want the documents that are related to the commission as well. That's what you said. If you want us to put it in a written form, we can still do the order like that and send it to you. But I think from the application made by council, so I just send it to you directly. So you can produce before probably Monday. Monday will be only. Let me
just take a position.
The documents, let me seek a petition, Mr. Chair.
Monday will be on the 10th of November.
The documents, I don't have all documents relating to Janneh Commission. I will produce. I can only produce documents in my possession as counsel, lead counsel to the Janneh Commission. That's what I can produce. But all official documents, all documents are within government, Ministry of Justice, I presume. But I can produce documents in my possession as lead counsel to the Janneh Commission.
That's okay. That's exactly what we mean. Because that you were lead counsel for the commission. So only with your position as lead counsel at the time, that's what we are requesting. Counsel, so we can proceed. I think the order is.
Yes, Honorable Chair, I would ask that we take a 10-minute stand down to advise ourselves. Proceed. There's an indication from the high table that the 10 minutes could be also used to observe prayers. Then we could proceed.
All right, thank you. We can adjourn for 10 minutes for prayers, and we can resume back at 5, quarter to 6.